Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another video. Today we're gonna talk about Caido Workflows, which is a really big part of Kaido, and I haven't seen a lot of people talking about them, so I'm gonna explain everything you need to know, starting with passive and active workflows, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of a secret what you can do with the convert workflows and make your hacking really much easier, and you will see everything later on in the video. So let's begin. So as you probably know, workflows are basically just functions that Kaido can execute when it receives some kind of an input or something like that. So basically passive workflows are the workflows that always execute on every single request and process every request that goes through HTTP history. Then active workflows are only the workflows that you can activate by right-clicking on a request and then just running a active workflow. So for example, you might not want to send command injection to every single request that you receive, so you only send scan for command injections on a couple of requests. And we also have convert, which is also extremely interesting, and I only discovered the functionality of it pretty recently, so I guess not many people know how to use it, so I'm gonna explain everything that you can do here. So let's actually start with the passive workflows, and to create a new workflow you can just click on the new workflow button, and then you can see those two ends, and there are a couple of those nodes. So the nodes are basically, I guess, functions or conditions on when the program does something. So let's see, for example, this is on intercept request. So when it receives any kind of request, the request will go onto this node. Then we can, let's say, add matches HTTPQL. So let's add this. Then we can draw this on intercept request to matches HTTPQL, and then let's say when it matches HTTPQL of request.host contains subscribe, then we will do something with the request, and then we will probably run some JavaScript on the request, and else we don't really want to do anything. Or we can also add some kind of another workflow. Let's say matches HTTPQL again, and let's say if for example request.path.contains console or something like that, then we are gonna process it to another JavaScript node, and you can go make everything go to the passive end. And as you can see, we have created some kind of a workflow. Of course, it doesn't do anything. You need to program JavaScript yourself, but you can get really creative with it, and you will see later on in the video what we can do with it. So this is just a basic tutorial how to use the nodes, and I'm just gonna delete everything here, and I'm gonna implement both active and passive workflow right now. I'm gonna use the same one in both of these sections, because it really doesn't matter what you use for a workflow. For passive and active, you can just copy from active to passive workflow. You also have extension that is Caido Workflows, which is workflow store right here. And if you go here, you can find some kind of workflows, for example, converting JSON to XML or stuff like that. So you can find a lot of pretty cool workflows here, but I'm gonna show you today how to create your one yourself. Let me now create a new workflow for passive workflow, and I'm gonna just add a JavaScript node. And probably, if I want to make this cleaner, I would add matches HTTPQL, and then I would say that if my request.host contains localhost probably, then we are going to create a true node which goes to JavaScript, and then it goes to passive end. What I'm gonna implement here is going to be 403 bypass. I know that Kaido already has a plugin for 403 bypass, but this is just a simple tutorial workflow that I have created, just to show you what you can do with them. So I already have written this code, so I'm just gonna go through this really quickly. It's going to implement a run function, which is required by every workflow. And if you want to learn how to use those workflows, you can go to Kaido developer, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, and this is the Kaido developer docs. And if you go here, you can find all the information you need about, I guess, on the concepts. I'll just type workflow. There are some examples that you can look at, and ultimately the Kaido uses this SDK thing, which you can, there's somewhere, I guess, let me just look at it really quick. Yeah, this SDK workflow, and then you can find a lot of different functions and objects here that you can use while implementing your workflow. So if you're creating your own workflow, definitely go ahead and look at the documents, at the docs. But basically what this workflow does, it just console logs that workflow has hit. If the request doesn't have a response, it will just return and not do anything. Otherwise, it will get the response code, and we're going to try to bypass 403 or 401. If the code is equal to any one of them, we are going to create a new spec from the request, and the spec is basically a way for us to modify the request. Then we're going to set a header x_forward@4. We're going to only check for this 403 bypass, and we are going to send a request with this header, and if the code is 200, then we are going to return the request. Pretty simple workflow. This is just for a tutorial, so I'm going to copy everything here and then paste it into the JavaScript. But for this workflow, as you could have already noticed, we don't need on intercept request, we only need a response. So let's do on intercept response, and we're going to drag this to matches HTTPQL. You also might need to set select a reference and on a request or on response. Response is on response and request is on request. And then from here, we should be able to somehow set from the HTTPQL output result. I'm not exactly sure if it is working. Let's change this to 403 error. I don't know. Run this. It's probably not working. I'm not gonna look at it right now because I don't want to waste your time. So I'm just gonna hook the JavaScript to the on intercept response, and if we run it again, we can see a new finding has been created. So it works well. And now let's just go ahead and test it. So as you probably know, we also have to save this here. So as you probably know, all of the passive requests, like I told you before, are going to be applied to every HTTP history request. So if I go ahead and type in my localhost 50403, I believe, then I have this page running and it says try accessing /admin. And if I click on this, it is just going to redirect me to admin, and it says forbidden, you are not allowed to be here. But in the background, Caido Workflow has actually hit, and it checked for the 403 bypass. And if we go to findings, we can see that we have successfully bypassed 403 on my page, and we can see that this is the secret on the admin panel. So we have implemented the workflow for bypassing 403. The next thing is active workflow, and it works basically the same as passive. The only thing that differs is that there are some other nodes, but the only thing that differs is that you have to just go to any request here, let's go to my page, and then just send it. And as we can see, we are accessing /admin. It's forbidden. So we would just have to, if we implemented the active workflow, just right click on the request, go to workflows. If I can see, run a workflow here, and you can just click on the workflow. Let me install an example workflow from the workflow store. Let's do active course checker. This workflow just checks for every single course request. So if I go to replay, right click, and I can just run this course checker. And as you can see, it says running a workflow, but of course my page doesn't have any implementations for course, so we're not gonna find anything here. And now the most interesting part of the video is the convert workflows. And you might think that it's not really that interesting at all. It's just convert stuff. You can do everything the same in Burpsuit or whatever you use, but it's actually pretty interesting what you can do with it. Of course, you can create your own JavaScript, but let me just show you. So those pre-installed basic convert workflows are URL, decoding code, JSON to XML, for example, and you can. So the first interesting fact that I learned I guess that was pretty new to me, that I learned recently, that you can go ahead and go to, for example, replay. I'm not sure what those cookies are here. And you can, let's say we would have a parameter B64 username, and that's equal to test. So the first thing that you can do is highlight this test username and then click on Ctrl-K, and this just opens command palette in Kaido. And what you can do, let's say we are on base64 encode workflow, and just hit enter, and it will automatically base64 encode. You can also Ctrl-K and do base64 decode, and then we have decoded the base64 thing. So that's pretty interesting. And now I'm gonna show you a little bit of a challenge that was presented in Fetch the Flag CTF from Sneak this year. And this challenge, basically, first step of it is bypassing a blacklist for SQL injection, and basically just executing SQL injection. And this is the function for bypassing filter security. Not bypassing, but which implements just the mitigation for SQL injection. As we can see, it takes a tag as an input, and we can see a tag is written here. We can put anything here, but if we, for example, put in select and just any node title and everything randomly, we can see that it filters for these keywords, and we can see select here. So yep, we should not be able to send this. And if we create node, it says security filter invalid characters or patterns detected in text. And how do we actually bypass this? I'm gonna just give you the solution. We have this normalization, which happens after the checks for all of the keywords. So basically, if we, for example, give the application a Unicode data that is with using full width characters, so let's say full width characters, but if I enter test, then it is becoming full width right now, and after normalization it would become a normal tag, a normal test variable, a normal test string, and we would effectively bypass the SQL injection filters. That's what we're gonna implement here. So let's say select, we have the select full width. So if I copy this and then go to the app, put select the tags, and share this node publicly, we can see that it went through, and we can look at it in the shared nodes. And the tags is actually normalized without any full width. So that's how we can solve the first part of this challenge. So to do that, we are going to actually implement the workflow, and we're gonna do everything automatically. If I go to workflows right now and we go to convert, we can create a new workflow. Let's name this full width. We can also add description. I'm not going to. So the only thing that we are going to do is implement this workflow. So I'm just going to create a JavaScript node and then just send the convert start to JavaScript node and then send it to the convert end. So I'm just gonna put this function here, and all this function does, it takes an input string, and then loops through every single character in the input, and then converts it to full width by adding 0xFEE0 to the input, and we can just make the characters full width. Can I actually showcase this? Let's maybe put it to node, and we have this full width. Let's do test, and we can see it put the test to full width, so it works fine. And then we have this run function. Like I told you, it must be in every single workflow, and we can take the data as parsed, and we can just apply full width to parsed. We can just do final is equal to full width. I'm not sure what happened here. Final is equal to full width on parsed, and then we are going to console log parse, not parsed but final, and then we are going to return final. And this is basically just putting every single input that we provide to the program as full width. So if we type in test here and run it, runtime error final is not defined stack. We need to do let final here, and then run it, and we can see that it put test to full width, and then we can save this workflow. So as I told you before, we can just go to replay, and then I'm just gonna send the nodes create request to my replay tab, and as we can see, we have this tags I guess parameter, and what we can do is we can put it like select here, and we are going to get a 200, but it should say that it was not created. Security alert. Yep, so we can just search for this in the response. So if we send it right now, it says security alert. And as I told you before, we can also just Control K on this and then do full width, and we can see it put the tags to full width, and we can send it. It is now found and it has worked. But other thing that you can also do, which I find really helpful, is taking the selects, highlighting it, and adding a placeholder to it. As we can see, the select word is actually highlighted right now. If we click on this edit marker, we can run a workflow on it, and we can select the full width workflow and click on add, and it is going to send the request with full width workflow. We can also add other workflows like URL decode, JSON escape, or whatever. But what we will do is everything that we type in here right now is going to be replaced with the full width. So if I delete this, I guess I shouldn't have deleted it. Let's do select star from or actually, or like, let's see, or one or like this, and then we can add this placeholder to it, which is going to first of all run a workflow which is going to URL encode, so we can send this request, and after that we are going to apply the full width. And if we send this request right now, it shouldn't work because it contains blacklisted words from here, and it also blacklists symbols like the column and every single symbol like that. And we can also add words like select here, or let's see, delete, drop. As you can see, it automatically highlights this, and if we send the request, it is going to automatically apply all of those filters for us. And if we go to our shared notes, you can see that it perfectly went through here. Of course, it is kind of URL encoded, and if we click on it, we can see SQL error here. So we effectively got error-based SQL injection, but instead of actually every time going to some kind of converting, I guess, like CyberChef or whatever, you can just do everything automatically in Kaido via workflows here, and it will just work out of the box like that, and you will save a lot of time. So after finishing recording the video, I realized that I forgot a very important aspect of Caido workflows, especially the convert workflows, and it is automatically replacing everything that goes through HTTP history with the desired workflow and automatically converting everything. So for example, if I wanted in my case to test for SQL injection automatically using SQL map, I would not be able to do that inside of SQL map itself, as it is really not built for that and it doesn't have that kind of functionality. But what we can do is we can actually, for example, type in SQL map and then -r request.txt, and then we would type in --proxy HTTP and then our local host and then 8080. And what this will do is we will actually transfer this request.txt and we will run SQL map on it through this HTTP proxy. And because it is going through the HTTP history, we're going to automatically apply the workflow to every single request that we want. So now, how do we actually do that? So for this, we will need to modify this workflow a little bit, but that's later on. So the first thing that we will do is I will create a match and replace rule for my proxy. With this match and replace rule, we will automatically be able to modify the request that we have. So let's say we go to request parameters, let's find it, request body right here, and then we will do a matcher on regex and we will match on tags because that's our name, tags equals to, and then we will match everything until the and symbol, and then let's do plus for every single character. I'm also going to enter the HTTPQL query, which is going to be request.host.contains a localhost. So we only apply this to our localhost request. You can apply it to any host you want, and you can do whatever here you want. And the replacer is going to be a workflow, and the workflow that we're going to run is going to be full width. And running this workflow, now let's see if this works. Let's do anything equals to test, and then add tags is going to be equal to select star from users, where username is equal to is admin or whatever, it doesn't matter. I just want to test it, and then I'm going to add and then anything equals Bob, whatever. And then if I click on test, we can see that only the tags parameter got replaced, but one issue that we have right now is that tags itself gets replaced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to workflows, and then I'm going to modify this just a little bit. Alright, I figured out how to do it. I used .replace function and I replaced tags with nothing. And in the final, what I am going to do is I'm going to final is going to be equal to tags equals to, and then plus final. And then we are going to do this. So as we can see, our tags became normal again. And then if we test it on here, we actually have to save the workflow, match and replace test. And we can see tags is the normal tag, and nothing is wrong here. So right now, if we would go ahead and add this workflow, we'll full width convert, and it is enabled right now, so tags equal to test. Let's just test it one more time. And now basically everything that goes through the proxy is going to be automatically applied with that workflow. So if I go to my nodes, I'm going to create a new node and select, I guess just end the quote, select, so we have an SQL error, and create node. I do not have burp suite proxy enabled here, so let's do it again. Test, select like this, and magically just like that, it went through. And if we go to shared nodes and go to the permalink, it didn't work because our content is URL encoded. But basically our request went through, and if we would take a look at the proxy history here, as we can see, this is the original request, but if I go to automatically edited request, we can see that it automatically applied the full width rule for us. So right now it's going to be it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and I will see you in the next video.